The Mavericks look to end their Texas road swing with a win tonight on the road against the Rockets. We'll get you ready for tonight's game. Coming up next on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to DLLS Sports while you are here as we get you ready for tonight's game between your Dallas Mavericks and the Houston Rockets. Game number 68 of the season for Dallas as they look to end their Texas road trip with a win before they head back home on Sunday to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. You can find me on X at Kevin Gray Sports, at Tim_Cato. Let's get you ready for tonight's game as the Mavericks on this Friday night tip-off at 7 p.m. If you're going to be watching the game, you can watch it on KFAA Channel 29 as the Mavericks at 33-34 looking to get back to an even 500, take on a Rockets team that's 41-25 on the season, 23-10 at home so far this year at Toyota Center. Of course, the Mavericks 14-19 away from the AAC. Rockets an 11.5-point favorite tonight with the over-under at 220.5. Tim, as this team looks to end their 3-game Texas road trip after splitting a series with the San Antonio Spurs, look to end it on a high note by taking on their I-45 rival in the Houston Rockets tonight.
Sorry, I was very distracted. I was sending a few comments to our dueling DLLS Stars pregame show that's happening behind closed doors over there. But you know what? As the superior pregame show, we got the big stage. You know, we didn't get shoved off into the closet. You know, that's what we over here at DLLS Mavs call that pregame. I'm saying it very loudly. I want to make sure they can hear us.
Make sure they hear
we
you?
Call that the closet studio. But the big boys get the big stage, and that's what we're broadcasting to you from.
That's right. We got the stage. We got the lounge while they got the podcast. You know, we got the lounge here.
Once again, the closet.
That's right.
You know, we've got the podium.
Yeah, we do.
They have their mics cut off.
That would be a bad thing. I don't know if that would go over well with John over there who's producing the show for the Stars.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, of course you don't. Especially when you're talking about them Boston Celtics team. Let's get you ready for tonight's game. We appreciate all of you joining us here so far. Sarah, I see you in the chat. JP, I also see you in there. Luke, shout out to you as well, hanging out with us on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Mavericks come into tonight's game, of course, 10th in the Western Conference, sitting 5.5 games behind the Golden State Warriors for the 6th seed in the West. 2.5 games up on the Phoenix Suns for the final play-in spot in this year's play-in tournament. Dallas, unfortunately, has lost 8 of their last 10 games coming into tonight's game after their loss on Wednesday to De'Aaron Fox and the San Antonio Spurs. Mavericks, unfortunately, 13-24 against teams above 500 so far this year, 23-24 against the Western Conference overall. Dallas, of course, 1-1 on their current.
Wait, hang on.
What happened?
What's the record again?
Against the
teams over 500?
Against teams over 500, 13-24.
13-24, that's not very good. Patrick Dumont was right. The team hasn't improved. You know, assessing the trajectory of the season, this team is not better. In fact, they're quite a bit worse. I take back anything I said on yesterday's show.
Don't take anything back. You said it all with your chest. Mavericks, of course.
That was you doing.
Oh, that was me doing that. I guess so.
You know. Man, I actually heard, even before Jason Gallagher scored that, I heard the music behind you.
Shout out to our guy, Jason Gallagher, friend of the program, of course, of the Young Man in 3 podcast as well.
He's the 3.
He's the 3? Yeah. He's the 3 of the Young Man in the 3?
Yeah.
Mavericks looking to finish up their Texas road swing with a win tonight over the Rockets before they return home on Sunday to take on the Philadelphia 76ers. Meanwhile, Houston, hot coming into tonight's game. They're 5th in the Western Conference in a virtual tie right now with the Los Angeles Lakers for the 4th spot in the West. They sit 1 game behind the Memphis Grizzlies for the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. Grizzlies getting back Jaren Jackson tonight as they take on the Cleveland Cavaliers, so good for them. Houston coming into tonight's game has won 4 straight games after previously losing 3 straight games. The Rockets still got their 4th straight win on Wednesday with a dominant win over the Phoenix Suns. They're currently 3-0 in their 6-game homestand right now, which will continue tomorrow night against the Chicago Bulls. So the Houston Rockets on the first night of a back-to-back with the Mavericks tonight, and then Chicago coming into town in Houston tomorrow night. So far this year, the Rockets 22-8 against teams below 500, overall 25-16 against the Western Conference so far this year. That gets you a lay of the land of both these teams coming into tonight's game, Tim Cato, as we take a look at Tim's scouting report, focusing on the big man in the middle for the Houston Rockets in one Alperen Sengun.
Folks, I have an apology to issue. Earlier on the show, oh my God, the solo cam. And it's not quite cropped correctly. Tanner is in motion getting this correct.
Or notion.
I have an apology to issue earlier on the show. Not on this show, but earlier on a show that we have done. I can't tell you when, but I remember saying it. I said, Amen Thompson might be the best player on the Houston Rockets. And it's a fun thought. It's cute. He's really good. He is so good at basketball. He's not their best player. That was a little bit reactionary, a little bit me wanting to be cut above where the narratives are going. And I do think that people have recognized Amen Thompson and his importance and his value, how good he is, how much he affects winning. But the apology is in order because Alperen Sengun is so clearly Houston's best player. It's not even really close. This guy is so good at basketball. Over his past 6 games. Oh, 5 games. 6 games. He is no. So I was trying to pull it correctly. Oh, here. Let me fix this.
You got
So when you go to NBA stats and you do last 6 games, you do season segment last 6 games, that's going to pull up a game he didn't play in.
Right.
I wanted to get the last 7 games.
Yeah, NBA.com gets me like that sometimes.
Yeah. So I wanna play a little game.
Okay.
Over his last 6 games, which includes 7 games that the Rockets have played. Alperen Sengun has played in he's played in 6 games, but he's taken 76 shots.
Okay.
How many of them has he made?
76 shots. I'm gonna say he's made 51 of them.
52.
Oh, I was close.
You were very close. He has made nearly 70% of his shots.
It's pretty good.
52 of 76. That's 68.4.
Not bad for 70%. Baby Jokic. Not bad for Baby Jokic.
But more honestly, and like Baby Jokic, Jokic is right. He's definitely like just the efficiency, the raw efficiency, the fact that he's able to do those type of numbers. Like there is a lot of similarities to Jokic. I do think that he's a different player in the sense that this guy is a defensive force. Like this guy is I don't want him to get laden with the defensive stuff. Like Jokic is probably a little bit better of a defender than some of his low lights look.
Sure.
You know, he is able to compete on that end. Sengun he impacts stuff.
Yeah.
He is becoming at least a shot blocker, if not a rim deterrent. But what I wanted to focus on is just very specifically when he's on the court, the Rockets are 9% better. 9 points. 9 points over 5, like 9 points over 100 possessions better than when he's off of it.
Okay.
That's a pretty big swing. That's in the 91st percentile.
Yeah.
There's nobody close. Fred VanVleet's up there. Tari Eason, oddly enough, is not oddly enough, really good player.
Good defender, yeah.
Yeah, Tari Eason is third, but we're talking like 4 points better over 100 possessions, 3.5 points better over 100 possessions. Sengun, 9. He's their best player. You can see it when he's off the court. He makes things better. And going up against Dallas team without any real sinners, I worry what type of atrocities Alperen Sengun is going to commit tonight. I worry about it. Dwight Powell, you didn't. I want to do
Luke.
I want to do the Robin Williams speech in Good Will Hunting right now.
It's a good movie.
And I'm directing it at Dwight Powell. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Dwight, it's not your fault. Alperen Sengun did this to you.
Go get him, Dwight.
It's not your fault.
Go get him, Dwight. Let's focus in on the lead story coming
in the Twilight Zone. Are you kidding me, JP?
In the Twilight zone. Shout out to JP.
Man, very topical with Severance last night. No spoilers.
He's not feeling the baby Jokic comparison too. I feel you, JP. That's what some people call Alperen Sengun. Good player though. Really good rebound. We'll let you know how good he is a little bit later on as well in the pregame show. Let's focus in on the Mavericks lead story coming into tonight's game. Mavericks have exactly 1 month to go as far as their regular season is concerned. 30 days, 15 games, in fact, including tonight's game, of course, as the regular season starts to come to a close. The last time these two teams got together was back on February 8th at the American Airlines Center, where, of course, the Rockets fell to the Mavericks 116-105, and that served as a real inflection point on this season, of course, because Anthony Davis made his debut that day in 31 minutes, absolutely dominant for the Dallas Mavericks, of course, with the 26 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, the 3 block shots. The Mavericks that day set a record with 18 blocks as a team in that dominant win over the Houston Rockets. But since that day, obviously, aside from the Luka Doncic trade, that day on February 8th has served as a real inflection point, and there has been pretty much daily calamity since that day 34 days ago, and this team looks completely different than what it does coming into tonight. After that game, of course, that they won, they were 28-25, and you felt like, well, maybe if Anthony Davis could come back, things could change, but unfortunately, we know how things have turned out since then. Jason Kidd talking about it during his pregame availability about how this team looked that day and what they hope to eventually look like once they do get healthy. Here's what he had to say.
Which one?
Say it again. Yeah. The Rockets. Yes, the Rockets.
Man, Bobby.
Yeah, I thought, for AD, 2.5 quarters, the 18 block shots to protect the rim, protect the paint. We had, but we lost PJ and AD in that game. But I thought, that's the way we would like to be. The ability to protect the paint and then get out and run. And I thought you saw AD, from behind the arc, in the post, and then being able to play make off the dribble. So, hopefully that's the way it is once we're healthy.
And, Tim, obviously, since that day, the Mavericks have suffered injury after injury, but we got a glimpse in a window into what we thought the Mavericks could look like, especially with Anthony Davis, with the variety of the game that he had, but especially on the defensive end, as dominant as he was. These two teams have clearly gone in different directions since that day on February 8th here in Dallas.
Yeah, they've clearly gone in different directions.
Yeah.
Things are a little bit different. It was a great 3 quarters of basketball. It was a glimpse into a future that we did not have in store for us. And I think about that future a lot. I think about what it would be like to be covering a team that was good at basketball. And I'm not making offhand Luka jokes. Like, I would have liked to have seen the AD Mavericks. I think for a lot of reasons they ended up where I thought they possibly could. But that team was going to be really good. And the difference of what it's going to look like tonight, Sengun playing as, against no sinners versus Sengun looking damn near neutered against a front line that was depth and size and height and wingspan. Like, I think tonight is going to be such a perfect, just correlation, like catastrophe of what Dallas could have been to what they are now. And you can make that argument that you can go look at other games that Sengun's been pretty good against Dallas in the past before they made the AD trade. Then you look at how he looked in the AD game. Then you look at him right now. And you can see how Dallas under AD, that AD team was going to be so different. Yeah. They were going to have strengths against certain teams like Houston that they might not have had. In fact, as I'm, I'll double check this over the break, but Houston was a team that kind of bothered Dallas at times. Yeah. There was obviously the game last year where Luka hit the crazy little
the underhand
from the layup. scoop from the 3-point line. But that was a game that Dallas went down about 20, 25 points, and it looked like Houston was going to roll them up until Min Thompson decided to commit a xenophobic act against Maxi Kleber for some reason.
I remember that was a long time. Wow.
Not literally. I still don't understand why he did that.
I don't know why
does he just
either.
hate Maxis? But Min Thompson, Max Christie's name does not have an I in it. It is Max, not Maxi Christie.
I mean, Amin's not playing anyway, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I know. So,
but you're right. I mean, that game against Dallas here at the American,
you never know what he's capable from the bench.
That's true.
Yeah.
Alper Sengun wanted no parts of Anthony Davis in that front court defense of the Dallas Mavericks, and that shows you how different things will look tonight when the Mavericks take on the Houston Rockets. When we come back here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show, who's in, who's out, some X factors for tonight's game, and also we focus in on our Mavericks Player Spotlight as well. All that more coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. But if you want to win some money tonight, you got to utilize Sleeper to do it. If you're looking for Klay Thompson to have more than 15 points, or if you're looking to not have Naji Marshall have more than 20 points combined and assists combined as well, you got to use Sleeper to do it. You got to be able to put your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite players or least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Sleeper keeps you in the loop with instant alerts for breaking news and major injuries, so you stay ahead of the game and keep track of league updates in real time, so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. So you think you have what it takes? New users can download the Sleeper app and use code DLLS Mavs to get $55 off and free entries when you place a $5 contest. You can apply it to any contest as well. It doesn't have to be your first. Remember that terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details, and it's currently operational in over 25 states. So make sure you check out Sleeper today. Happy gameplay. Mavericks taking on the Houston Rockets tonight at Toyota Center in Houston. Mavericks looking for a successful Texas road swing after splitting a pair of games in San Antonio. Take on Houston tonight before they come home to take on the Philadelphia 76ers for a noon start time on Sunday afternoon. Let's let you know who's in and who's out for tonight's game going into tonight's matchup. We start with the Houston Rockets. Reed Shepherd, he's out. He's got a fractured right thumb that he's dealing with. And the aforementioned Min Thompson, he remains out as he is dealing with a left ankle sprain. Unfortunately, P.J. Washington and Kai Jones are both out. They were both listed as questionable coming into today's game. But obviously with Kai Jones, who's dealing with a left quad strain, P.J. Washington, who continues to deal with the right ankle sprain, they both remain out tonight. But Brandon Williams and Dante Exum are both available going into tonight's game.
And surely they're available for 35, 40 minutes. Given the state of the Mavericks roster, some people need to step up and play a lot of minutes, right? Somebody needs to, like Dallas, 9 available players, which is good. It's better than what it has been. But thankfully, Dante Exum is available, if he's having a great game to run it out there, starters minutes, like heavy, like Kyrie minutes, like 35, 36.
Not quite. At least that's what Jason Kidd had to say. Pregame. Take a listen.
He is on a minute restriction. DP's on a minute restriction. Caleb is on a minute restriction. Am I missing anybody else? Brandon is on a minute. No, I don't think. Yeah, I think he's on a minute restriction too, because he just coming off a hamstring injury too. So we have quite a few guys that are on minute restrictions. So to answer your question, for Exum being able to play 20 to 25, trying not to extend him, because if you put him in a tough situation, if you extend his minutes into the 30s, somewhere during that week he's going to have to take a game off, and we just don't have that luxury right now.
Hang on, can I interrupt here?
Sure.
Can I take over out of this this Jason Kidd clip?
Yeah, of course.
The Dallas Mavericks PR account is tweeting its injury report in multiple using tweet threads
as a thread. Yes.
Takes multiple tweets to get it all out.
Yeah.
And Jason Kidd is forgetting which players have minutes restrictions. That's how bad this is. There's so many players he can't remember them all. He's not forgetting. Like he is being asked a task that any human, he is being asked to play the game of concentration at the podium to both remember how many players are injured, to name them all, He has a little, he's always had a little, like a little note sheet, a little cheat sheet.
Mm-hmm.
But oh my God, it's a dire situation. And there are so many players with minutes restrictions that we don't even know them all.
Yeah, it's bad. Shout out to Luke, who has the starters for tonight's game for the Dallas Mavericks. That would be Naji Marshall, Dante Exum, Kessler Edwards, Klay Thompson, and Dwight Powell. So the Mavericks going big, quote unquote, big tonight with Kessler Edwards and Dwight Powell both in the starting lineup alongside Naji Marshall, Dante Exum, and Klay Thompson. So it looks like Dante Exum is going to be the primary ball handler to start off for tonight's game alongside.
Well, when you're going up against Şengün and Eason.
Yeah, you got to have some size in there.
He's matching. He's matching 1-for-1.
And much size as you possibly
can I throw one thing out? Just like a weird, this comes to mind as a inside basketball little moment. I am under the belief that NBA teams pretty much know who the other starters are going to be at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that Dallas is probably reacting to Houston more than Houston is reacting to Dallas.
I would agree with that.
Remember back in 2021, the playoff series, the first-round playoff series against the Los Angeles Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was it game 4? It's probably game 5 when Boban started.
That's right, game 5.
Was it game 6?
I believe it was game 5. Because it was back in Los Angeles where they said, KP, go stand in the corner.
Yeah. So Boban started that game. Would you like to know when I, Tim Cato, found out that Boban was going to start that game?
What, half an hour before?
No, that morning, dude.
That morning?
Yeah, I got a text, and it was a weird moment for me. It's the first time, I maybe not the first time, but like it had never been such important news. But I got a text that morning, shortly after shoot around.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who knew. It was known by the. Let me put it this way. It was known by the players that morning.
Yeah.
It was known by the players that morning because they went through shoot around.
Did you imagine Carlisle be like, hey, by the way, guys, before half an hour of the game, Boban's starting.
Yeah, but no, but that's not how it goes. Yeah. They find this out the morning of. They
right.
find this out at shoot around. And I didn't choose to report it in the moment because I don't want to be the person who could ever be accused of affecting strategy or affecting how a game goes. That is not my job as a reporter to affect the actual outcome of a game that's about to happen. And so I sat on the scoop. I talked to my editor about it.
Yeah.
But I sat on the scoop and, it wasn't something I shared with anybody. It was a scoop that came into me. I shared it with a few people within my journalistic orbit, but certainly I wasn't going and sharing it with other sources of mine to this extent that it could have got shared beyond my own journalistic network. And then, you're right. It was game 5 because Tyronn Lue's press conference came first.
Yeah,
it was before Rick Carlisle's, so it was game 5. And Ty Lue said, "Yeah, I've got a feeling they're going to start big with Boban." So my point here,
somebody got tipped off.
My point here is that NBA teams, NBA head coaches, usually have a sense of what the other team is going to do as well. So I think in this instance, Jason Kidd is realizing that the replacement for Amen Thompson is going to be Tari Eason. It doesn't take a genius to know that. That is a replacement. That's a fill-in. That's a person who makes sense to fill into that role. But I wouldn't be surprised if Jason Kidd had some level of confirmation that that was the plan going into tonight. And so 30 minutes before, the decision on the starting lineups was, all right, let's play every tall player we have available to us.
If you're tall, you're in the starting lineup tonight for the Dallas
Mavericks. And those tall
Mavericks.
players are 6'10", 6'8", and 6'6".
That's right.
Go
get them
tall. That is, under this iteration of the Dallas Mavericks, of the healthy Dallas Mavericks, that is a big lineup. 6'10", 6'8", 6'6". Klay Thompson is 6'6" as well.
6'4", 5-ish. Yeah, 6'5".
6'5".
Yeah.
We'll say he's
I'll give him
noticeably taller than Steph, who is 6'3". But do we believe Steph is 6'3"?
No.
I think Steph's actually a good solid 6'2". I've stood next to him. He's a pretty tall guy.
I'll give him 6'2.5".
But okay.
Why not? Throw the half in there.
Well, we'll say they're 6'10". Yeah, but Dante Exum is a good solid 6'5".
Like they're starting the biggest lineup that's available to them at this point. Without Kai Jones being available for this team.
Yeah, it's very free Darko. It's 5 players between 5'10" and or sorry 6'5" and 6'10".
And you're right, Luke. They don't have many options at this point.
Shout out to Free Darko. How many people are on the pregame? 83. If any of the 83 people listening right now, even if you have not commented yet today, if you read Free Darko back in the day, please chime in.
Okay.
Shout out Free Darko. Did you read Free Darko back in the day?
I did not.
Yeah, it was Tom. That's where Tom Ziller of SB Nation. That's where he started. That's where Sam Amick. I think Amick blogged for them for a little bit.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, Free Darko was one of the first eras of analytic minded, but not pure analysis. But it was one of those. It was one of the first NBA blogs, basketball blogs.
NBA champion Darko.
It's where a lot of that's where it came from. Right. But a lot of basket blogging came from the Free Darko era. If Bobby was here right now, we would probably talk about it for 5 more minutes. But since he's not, we will spend the final 3 minutes of this pregame show talking about
the Mavericks Player Spotlight and a couple X
the
factors.
Mavericks Player Spotlights. Can I guess which one?
Yeah, sure. You try and guess.
I don't actually know it. This isn't. I bet it's going to be Naji Marshall again.
That is Naji Marshall, actually. In his last 10 games.
God,
Naji,
give me the crown.
Look at you. Averaging nearly 17 points per game and over 7 rebounds per contest in 2 games so far against the Rockets this year, averaging 10 points a game, shooting over 69% from the field and 50% from 3. Naji Marshall in the starting lineup tonight as part of the big lineup, quote-unquote, that the Mavericks have available against the Houston Rockets as they look to get the win on the road. Let's get to a couple X factors real quick before we go into tonight's matchup again. Tip off at 7 p.m. You can watch the game on KFAA Channel 29 if you're going to be watching tonight's game. X factor number 1 for me, you got to eliminate the second chance points from the Houston Rockets. This is a team that is the best offensive rebounding team and the best rebounding team overall in the association, which means they are number 1 in the NBA right now in second chance points per game, averaging nearly 18 second chance points per contest. You got to keep them off the offensive glass. As a team that's one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, one of the worst teams in free throw percentage. In fact, they're the worst team in the NBA in terms of free throw percentage, and they are bottom 5 in terms of overall field goal percentage. So this is a team that does not shoot the ball very well, but they collect a ton of offensive rebounds. The Mavericks are going to have to try to figure out a way to keep them off the offensive glass. Finally, if you're the Mavericks, see if you can get out on the break a little bit. This is a team in the Houston Rockets. They allow the 5th fewest points in the fast break this season. Let's see if the Mavericks can find a way to generate some energy and some easy points, because points may be hard to come by against a team in the Rockets that's number 3, Tim, in the association in defensive rating this season. That is how good Houston is when it comes to their defensive prowess. And the Mavericks going to try to find some easy points and have to try to do so in transition tonight.
Can I just say something different rather than reply to that?
Sure.
Because Luke in the chat, Luke Byrne, he helped me do some research. You reminded me of some research. Remember when I went on a little rant about how Dallas had a chance to set a league record? Most starting lineups.
Yeah, most starting lineups, yes.
But you know how I was kind of joking? Because the starting lineup, the most starting lineups used in a season was 50 by Memphis Grizzlies last season.
Okay.
Dallas has 15 games remaining after the season. And they are about 15 games, right?
Yeah, 15 games, yeah.
Yeah. So they're about to use their 36th starting lineup.
Also, they got a chance.
They've got a chance.
They've got a chance.
It could still happen. We need a different starting lineup every game, but they could do 51
for the rest of the season.
It's still in play.
It's possible.
So we'll talk more about this on the postgame show.
And we'll be joined by our national...
I'll map it out. I'll map out the scenarios and what they need to do, but it's in play.
We'll also have our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, live in studio with us as well during the post-game show. It's game time for your Dallas Mavericks right now as the Houston Rockets host your Mavericks in Toyota Center in Houston. We will be back 15 minutes after the final buzzer right here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Again, joined by our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, live in studio with his news and notes, not only on the Mavericks, but around the association as we enter the final 30 days of the regular season for your Dallas Mavericks. They look for a win tonight on the road against Jalen Green and the Houston Rockets. Appreciate our guy, Tim. Thank you. We do appreciate you. But we appreciate our guy, Tanner, making us look good and sound good as always. Thank you, sir. That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. I am your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you post-game right here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.